Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Star Wars Unleashed, and today we are going to be doing a video on something that I honest to God never thought I would ever be doing a video on this channel for. And essentially, according to the title and the thumbnail, yes, we are going to be talking about my first experience watching the American Pie franchise of films. And I'm going to be reviewing all four of them and talking about the entire franchise as a whole and then ranking them at the end. And so, yeah, this is my first time ever watching these films, and I want to give a huge shout out to my buddies who I watched it with, who recommended that we all sit down and just binge watch all four of these films and have like a little American Pie marathon. And I had never seen a single one of these movies, and it's weird to say that because I'm still a younger guy, and I would have thought at one point in my life, like, not that long ago, I probably would have sat down and watched one of these films, but I had never gotten the chance to watch one of them. And so here we are. I watched all four in the span of a couple of weeks with my buddies, and I have to say I absolutely love this franchise. From a comedic standpoint, this is one of the best comedy franchises out there, and I think not enough people really talk about it that much. And I just kind of want to put the limelight back in it and, like, just talk about these four films. And, each one has their own story and each one has their own plot and premise to it. So, the first one, American Pie 1, that is high school. American Pie 2 is college. American Pie 3 is the end of college and in, like, a wedding phase, like, for one of the main characters. And, of course, American Pie 4, American Reunion, is when all of the main characters come back together again to see one another after, living normal everyday lives as like older adults. And so I just wanted to talk about these movies because they are just a joy to watch. And I want to start off by saying that each movie to me is ranked based on how I feel in terms of the comedy and in terms of the filmmaking. And I would say if I had to start off with the first film. The first film is it's a little rough from the filmmaking perspective. The acting is not great, but the comedy is really good. And overall, like, from the high school perspective, all four of these films basically are, it's every dude's nightmare because the films follow the dude's perspectives, and each of these actors does such a great job of like portraying like probably what it would be like. And that's why I think the first film, for example, is just so awkward, and it's funny that way. And I can't say that enough about the first film. It's probably my least favorite out of all four, but I still had a good kick out of it. It still brought a lot of laughs. And so I would probably rank the first American Pie film, I would rank it last at number 4, and I would probably give it a 6 out of 10. I think it's a solid 6 out of 10, a generous 6 out of 10. It's not the greatest film in the world. American Pie 2, which is college version of American Pie. Again, this is a bit of a step up for the American Pie films, and I want to say that, again, this brought more laughs. It was a bit better in terms of the filmmaking perspective as far as the acting and directing and all that went. So I would say, and obviously since it's college, it's going to be a lot more raunchier, and, I think I got a big kick out of that. So American Pie 2, for me, is actually going to rank at number 2 on my list, and I would probably give American Pie 2... I would say give American Pie 2 a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's a solid movie. Again, not the greatest film in the world, but it's still good. I still really enjoyed it from a comedic perspective. And so now we're moving on to American Pie 3, or American Wedding. American Wedding is, in my opinion, it's a step down, actually, now looking back on it. I think American Pie 3 is a bit of a step down. It is obviously missing some big main characters. It is missing one of the main core characters of the group of guys in the films, and I think that was kind of missing something, I feel. And so I thought it was okay. Again, I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was just all right. Again, a bit of a step down for me, and so I would probably rank American Pie 3, well, exactly as its number. I would rank it third in terms of the overall American Pie franchise. And I think I'd give American Pie 3 a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's a solid 6.5 out of 10. Okay, not the greatest thing in the world. It does, again, it still does its job as far as a comedic sense. It still brings a lot of good comedy. And now moving on to the last one, American Pie 4. American Pie 4 or American Reunion is by far and none my favorite of the films. I think it's definitely the funniest, and I think it is the best one in terms of the filmmaking perspective. I think the acting is really actually pretty decent here, as opposed to the previous films. I thought the filmmaking from a directing standpoint, I thought the director did a good job nailing the comedic scenes, and obviously the actors are the ones who are doing the comedy, but even with the directing, he directs these scenes so well to make the comedy work so much better, aside from the actor's execution of it. And so American Pie 4, as the title says, it's all the main characters getting back together again after, living as older adults now and being, just their older selves, doing their 9-to-5 jobs. And even the main character, he has a kid now. And so this one brought a lot more laughs, and, I can't give these characters enough credit for, doing another film, a fourth one in the year 2012, which is when it came out. And I would rank this as number one. This one is a number one for me as far as the American Pie franchise, and I think I would give it I'd give American Pie 4 an 8 out of 10. Really good. I really did like this movie. It's a lot of fun, and overall, me and my buddies, we had a good time, and they had already seen the films, so they had already been used to it. But again, I appreciate that they mentioned that this was something that we should watch, and I really had a good time watching it. And I think if any person out there who's never seen the American Pie films, if they want to watch it with a group of people. Trust me, it's a much better experience, and you get such a better kick out of it than if you were to watch it by yourself. So that's how I would rank all the films. And I also just want to talk about the characters too, because these characters are so funny and they bring such a joy to these movies, especially characters like Steve Stifler, who is played by Sean William Scott, who is arguably one of the best comedic actors of all time. He is very well known for these types of raunchy roles where his comedy is pure raunchiness, and it's like some people nowadays kind of say that if people were to look back on this character, they would think that you couldn't do it. I disagree. I think you could easily do this character nowadays. Obviously, there are some things you probably couldn't do, but you could still do this character. There is nothing inevitably preventing you from doing the character of Steve Stifler nowadays. I think Steve Stifler is it's a perfect comedy character. He's so good as the Stiffmeister, and I cannot say enough about that character. He carries these movies along with another character who is Mr. Levinstein, but played by Eugene Levy. He is the dad of the main character, who is Jim Levinstein, played by Jason Biggs. He's the dad, and he also carries these films. He is so funny in these movies. I can't say enough about Eugene Levy as Mr. Levinstein. He is really, really good. And as far as the main group of characters, Jim, Oz, Paul Finch, and then Kevin Myers, who are the four main guys, along with Steve Stifler, who make up the core five. They are all really funny together. And obviously, they're not the most well-known actors, so they're not going to be as, I would say these actors, they do their job, even if they are not the most well-known people in the acting space, in the movie world. I think even the girls who are involved in these movies, who are either dating or married or whoever to these guys, they also do a really good job as well. All these actors do such a good job, I think, in the roles that they were given. Even if in the first couple of films the dialogue wasn't all that good and the acting was very, very bad, I think they learned, I think they improved, and I think it improved along with each movie that went along with it. Even if I think that a movie like American Pie Wedding is lesser than two of the other films. And so, again, I can't give enough credit. And even the side characters in these movies, like Chris Owen as Chuck Sherman, and John Cho as, quite literally, just John. That's John Cho's character. His name is just John. And I thought that was pretty funny to be on the nose as it was. And he's probably the more well-known actor out of any actor who is in these films. He's more well-known for his kind of stuff today nowadays, especially since he is one of the main cast members of the newest Star Trek series. So I can't say enough about all the actors. They all do a really good job, even if the acting, again, wasn't as great in the first couple of films. And so, you know, I think it was also rumored that the fifth film would come out down the line. I don't know if a fifth film is necessarily needed. I kind of brought it up with my buddies and said that maybe a remake of this franchise is probably better, and like redo it again with new characters, but in starting it from the same setting. So like, do kids nowadays, with like all the technology and the internet that we have nowadays and the way people act, start it from there and then go on from there and do all the other films down the line in the future. I think that would be a great idea rather than just doing a fifth film. And hey, I wouldn't be opposed to them doing a fifth film. I would love to see a fifth film. I think I just would prefer them do like a remake, kind of remade kind of version of these films. But overall, I mean, I cannot say enough about these films. They generally brought a lot of laughter to my ears. I was laughing the whole time, especially to a character like Steve Stifler, who is by far the funniest part of these movies. Again, yeah, there's so much more I could go into with these films, but overall, like, that's just the review I wanted to do of these movies. This was my first time watching them in the year of 2021 too. It's like, these movies are really old. Like, the first one came out in 1999 and the last one came out in 2012. And you would think that's a lot older, and especially American Pie Reunion in 2012. 2012 was not that long ago. I mean, yeah, it's still a long ways back, but, you know, I honest to God really did thought I would have seen one of these movies a lot sooner. But hey, I watched it now, and I'm glad I did. You know, again, I can't thank my buddies enough for bringing this up. And they're the ones who suggested I do this movie. And again, I thank them for that idea as well. So yeah, guys, that's all I have to say about the American Pie movies. These were such a delight. If I had to recommend them enough, I would do it. Watch these movies if you've never seen them before. I would highly recommend it. Guys, that's going to do it for me. I appreciate you guys all tuning into this video. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe and share the video. I would really greatly appreciate it. And so that's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video. All right, peace out, everybody.